So, well, you know what we are talking about, but this is just a way to try to give the basic features of our MA to potential students, so not to actual students. So the presentation will be sketchy, and but just giving, as I said, the main features. So language and mind, linguistic and cognitive studies. Let's see what the foundation, if you want, of the program are. So this is the program that addresses the study of language by considering it a fundamental human cognitive capacity, and a capacity that all humans have and that they acquire spontaneously in their childhood during the first years of life in the absence of forms of pathology, and also, of course, given an adequate social linguistic environment. Such capacity characterizes the human mind. That's why it situates the study of language within the domain of cognitive psychology. The study of human languages, actually, that this plural is important. In our program, we give a crucial role to the descriptive aspects of different languages, so the analytical and empirical descriptions is very important, and in a comparative perspective, so by looking at properties of different languages, also through corpus studies, and according to explicit formal tools including syntactic relations, semantic interpretations, and phonological analysis. We believe that this is the basis, so having precise and formally constrained linguistic analysis, this is the basis that enables us to address possible applied domains from types of language acquisitions, with language acquisition which is a kind of central focus of the research in the department, in particular first language acquisition, but also forms of multilingualism, two forms of language pathology, and to computational applications using natural languages. Then the logical structure manifested by natural languages also has a central role in the program in order to properly characterize such human cognitive capacity. And finally, the philosophical and epistemological status of this property of the human mind complete the fundamental ingredients that design the program. So this is a kind of the foundation, the foundation, if you want, of the MA. Then we can see the structure of the MA through the lenses of the study plan, the study. And the program is divided into curricula, philosophy and cognition, linguistics and cognition. But the first year as a bulk of courses which are common to both curricula, and these are those listed here. If we have the big public, I would also mention the names of the professors, but since we know each other, I won't do that. But we are all listed in our respective courses here. So the common part, the common track, if you want, of the course of the MA is very important because this is what gives the shared knowledge to our students. Those aspects of the knowledge concerning natural languages that we believe are crucial given the general perspective that I mentioned before. And then if you look at the titles of the different courses, you will find the same terms that were present in the general description. Then, so all these courses are obligatory. Then comes the choice of the curriculum with the linguistics, the curriculum linguistics and cognition, and philosophy and cognition. These are the one course of the curriculum in the first year for the linguistics and cognition curriculum, and for the philosophy and cognition curriculum in the year 2020-2021, we will have an option. I will go back to options for the second years, an option between these two courses. Then comes the second year, and in the second year, contrary to the first year, we only have exams for the curriculum, the selected curriculum. So we have three groups of disciplines from which you can choose one to get your 6 credits. So overall there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 exams. And so one, you choose one among this. In the second group, you choose one among these two. So notice that this course, Methodology of Research in Cognitive Social Psychology, was present in the first year in the philosophy and cognition curriculum. It will become in the following year a choice of second year in the linguistics and cognition curriculum. So everybody, if he, she wants, will be able to take these exams. Then I'll come back to choices again. Here again, a group of 5 disciplines, and then computational linguistics that we assume as a course for everybody. Then there are these so-called chosen by the student activities, namely these are 2 selective exams, 6 plus 6, and here we have always suggested to our student to select among the options that they did not select in the when other selections were possible. The curriculum philosophy and cognition has fewer options. There is one option here for the second year. But again, we have the 6 plus 6 chosen by the student activities. And here again, you will be able to go also to the other curriculum and select some of the choices that you had not picked. You should consider that all courses of our program are courses dedicated to the program. So even if you are in a different curriculum, the way of approaching the issues in the other curriculum are relevant for you. So then there are the language, something that is called very strangely job training and guidance that we interpret as a workshop in which students present the work for their thesis and the final thesis that has several credits in the second year, because we believe that this is your creative, the moment where the students can be creative and do a personal work and in a structured way. So moving to another issue, to another aspect of the program, of course, if you will become, let me go back for 1 second, if you will become a student of the program, we will present the program in detail as a welcome meeting. So I won't spend more words on the study plan. In contrast, I want to spend a few words on other properties of the programs like this one. Namely, this program is an international MA. It's in English, so it's international. And indeed, it's a real. We have a real international community. I thought it might be interesting to see how many countries. These are data from the last 2 years, 1819 and 1920. And we have 20 different countries represented in our MA from international students. And more or less we have half and half of our students from abroad and from Italy. Italian students also come from different areas, the majority from the center, which means Tuscany, but also Rome, Bologna, Marche, and so on, from the islands, so as you can see from different areas. And this is also a nice exchange that it's created as a population. I would say 2 more things on the international dimension. We also have several Erasmus Exchanges with different European departments. Here I listed a few. And we have a double degree program at the University of Paris en Sorbonne. Okay, the courses are given as lectures, but all courses in general imply some direct involvement of each student participating in the class. And of course, each professor is free to decide how he organizes the course internally, but some form of active learning is generally encouraged in the different courses. Then ready for the new year 2020-2021. What do we mean by that? Well, we cannot ignore and just abstract away from the fact that the new year starting in the fall 2020 is faced with an unprecedented challenge, which is due to the sanitary emergency that the entire world is experiencing. So we think that traveling will most likely be harder for our students. We just saw that they come from far away, sometimes from very far away, in their vast majority. So we have seen with a colleague Valentina Bianchi, who runs this part of the enrollment, that we already have several international students who have applied for the year 2020-2021. The applications from Italy are due in the months to come. So we hope that this objective difficulty traveling and moving around will not discourage our potential future students. But I can also say that the old teaching staff, as you can see, all of the staff is present today, so that's encouraging in this direction, is ready to put all possible efforts and also, I would say, creativity in implementing a style of teaching that will allow students to be able to follow the program. So in particular, we foresee forms of blended teaching. They will certainly be implemented also following the general regulation of the university, and also foreseeing but possible dedicated adjustments. So we will follow the general rules and then adapt if needed to our students, for our kind of special type of students. So we all believe, however, that it is important to preserve the existence of personal individual interactions between students and their professors. And this is something that happens very naturally in presentia, so when people meet in the corridors. This allows for a style of research-oriented teaching, which is characteristic of this program, and this is something that I wanted to kind of underscore. And research requires interaction. So we will do, in this respect, our best to preserve this feature of the program, coping as much as we can with the current emergency situation. So I think that we will be present in the form which will be possible, and we will promote this exchange attitude and activity. So ready for active MA. What happens to our students when they're done with the MA? Well, the students who have graduated in the MA have pursued their activity in various domains, which are which language, natural language plays a central role. So in the domain of second language teaching, in the domain of linguistic support in situations of impairment, in the domain of computational applications. Several students, however, of the MA have continued their academic career in the domains of linguistics and analytical philosophy and have pursued their studies in the frame of a doctorate. So I should say that the acceptance rate of our students in doctoral and postdoctoral programs in Italy and abroad have been quite high over the years, and here I list a number of places in Italy, Bicocca, Pavia, Firenze, and so on, in Europe, Cambridge, UK, Tours, Ghent, Frankfurt, Paris, Berlin, Geneva, and so on, and the United States, UCLA, CUNY, and I might have forgotten some. So the MA program has now a relatively long history. It is in English since, so it's international and in English since 2014, but previous editions date back to, in Italian, to 2001. So it has a relatively long history now, and it has evolved, of course, over time a lot, and we very much hope that we will continue with this lively tradition. So that's our general presentation, the way I see it. And now I leave the floor to some brief interventions from students' representatives and two students currently following the program. to an old student from the program who is now an advanced researcher, and then maybe the professor will introduce themselves with quick reference to their courses. However, if there are many external students, maybe we can just say hello to each other at this point. Okay. So I hope I did not take too much time. So maybe Letizia?
Good morning, everyone. I thank you, Professor Belletti, for your presentation, which I think was kind of exhaustive, so I won't take too much time. But me and Francesco were the two student representatives for this MA, and we're also the tutors of this master's degree, and we wanted to kind of tell you something about what is it like to be a student of Language and Mind, and more specifically we'll just want to tell you what we as students were expecting when we enrolled for this MA, and what we actually found when we came here. So personally, first of all, I was expecting to study linguistics. I was interested in the cognitive aspect of linguistics, but I didn't really know what to expect. So when I came here, I found that the approach that is taken by this master's degree is a formal approach to linguistics in the tradition of generative grammar, which is something kind of specific, but of course many areas, as you, Professor Belletti, said, are covered. And then, well, I thought I would have found here mainly students coming from Italy and students with my same background. Personally, I studied modern languages and cultures at the University of Genoa, and I thought that mainly people with my same background would have enrolled. And actually, which was a kind of pleasant surprise, what I found when I came here was that not only Italian students, as you could see from the table presented by Professor Belletti, have enrolled here, so that the academic environment is kind of varied, and there are many international students, and that students of our course come from very different backgrounds. So some of them have studied philosophy, arts, languages, of course, psychology, and they come from very different backgrounds. The academic environment, I would say, is really lively and inspiring. There are many conferences that are organized in order to allow us to kind of go in further detail of what we study in class, and this is very interesting. We got this chance to kind of deepen our knowledge of various aspects of linguistics during these 2 years. And now, as far as the philosophy curriculum is concerned, I would like 2 other colleagues of ours to talk, and of course I let Francesco say something about this MA too.
So Francesco, maybe? We don't hear you.
No.
Okay.
Yes, now.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you very much, Letizia, for what you said. I would like to underline some aspects of our university life and our academic life. First of all, as Letizia said, as Letizia, I come from a background of foreign languages. I studied cultural mediation in my BA at the University of Bologna. I will talk, as Letizia did, about the linguistic curriculum, so this is not maybe for the whole group of students that are following our course. But I will tell you something about the interdisciplinary field, as Professor Innocenti said before. Actually, Letizia was right. We have mainly a formal approach to the study of language, but not all. We study also corpus linguistics. We have the possibility, thanks to a collaboration with other courses, to study something related to social linguistics, also psychology. Some of our students also graduated in a more computational field. We have a course of computational linguistics, but if one wants, they can go further into the engineering application of language studies. And some of our students have also attended courses offered by the course in speech therapy. So as you can see, there are a lot of possibilities depending on the interests that you may have and the department, and our degree is going towards more and more interdisciplinary orientation, let's say. I would like to stress the point that I particularly like our environment as for the international atmosphere. Since I studied modern languages and cultural mediation, interpreting, translation, I was particularly concerned about this. And I can say that the knowledge of the English language is not just a tool that we use in the classes. It's a fundamental means of communication among ourselves, among we students. As Professor Belletti said, there are a lot of students from abroad, and it's really important to have a good communication. It's really enriching, at least for me. And another thing I can say is that we have a strong collaboration between professor and students. This is also due to the fact that we are a relatively small environment, so the contact is very close, and it's really easy to get in touch with the others. Also, by studying in the table or in the corridor and in front of the rooms of the professor. And I can witness that here during this particular period. We are managing to have a strong contact and to follow the class regularly with technological means, and this is basically what I wanted to say about my experience. I would let the stage to Diego, who is a philosopher, and he can tell you something about the philosophy curriculum. And then there is a colleague of us who comes from France, and she is studying the double degree with the Sorbonne. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Very well.
Excellent. Well, my name is Diego. I am a second-year student in the philosophy curriculum, and adding to what Francesco and Letizia already spoke about the environment and the atmosphere that is in general in the program, I would like to highlight two specific things of the philosophy curriculum. The first one is the variety of areas of analytical philosophy that are covered in the program. It is very usual nowadays to find some programs that are that have a monothematic tendency. That means that they only cover one or two areas of philosophy. But in this program, I found as a strength of the organization that areas such as epistemology, philosophy of mind, logic, philosophy of logic, and philosophy of language were covered in depth, and moreover, they were constantly being connected in the different organization of the courses. And this is very important because it is a very good attempt to reflect the real complexity of the philosophical problems that are being addressed. When someone is dealing with a problem in philosophy of mind, one has to pay attention to what is happening in epistemology and philosophy of language as well, for example. So that will be the first thing that I would like to highlight, the variety of areas of philosophy that are covered and how they are constantly being interconnected in the program. And the second one is the opportunity of having courses from a different discipline, which in this case is linguistics. And the importance of having an interdisciplinary approach is that one can see how a different discipline, in this case an empirical one, can inform philosophical problems. It has been often said that philosophy might embrace an armchair methodology in order to address its problems. But here, in the constant connection with an empirical discipline, we can see how empirical research can have a say in the way in which we address philosophical problems. And that is enriching, and also it allows people studying philosophy to develop skills in reading scientific literature, which is very, very important for someone who is interested in following the analytic tradition in philosophy. So I think that summarizes the points that I wanted to highlight.
Thank you very much, Diego. That's very useful also for us. This is an important feedback. Thank you. And then maybe Jasmine.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So so I'm Yasmin, and I'm currently doing this double degree between Paris and Siena. So basically, when I asked my teacher in Paris what this double degree was about, he told me that it was seen as a kind of complementary formation for what we get in Paris, which is more philosophy of science and logic. So he told me that what I cannot get in Paris, I will have access to here in Siena. So when we do philosophy of language, for example, we never get the same technical approach about language that we get when we study linguistics. So as Diego said, as Francesco and Letizia said, there is here this interdisciplinary approach that is really important, I think, and kind of unique when you think about it. And coming here in Italy allowed me to get access to disciplines get access to linguistics. More than just the content of the classes, you actually come to a new university, so in a new country. So they work really differently. So there are really different systems. And for example, in Paris, everything is written when you do the exams. Where here in Siena, everything is oral, and it's much more. And they ask you to really be capable of presenting orally your work. And this is not something that is, for example, worked a lot in France, and it allows you to be much more versatile and adapt to different contexts of research in different systems of university in the world. And I think if you want to stay in this academic world later, it's really important to be able to change from one university to another. For example, the fact that it's an international program, also the fact that we teach it in English, and in France it's in French, allows you to have one more language on your curriculum and shows that you actually can do research in another language. So obviously I think it's really interesting on a PhD application, for example, and so for the after. But more than just the academic level, I think that academic experience, in order to be taken to the fullest, has also to be thought as a personal experience. And when you do this double degree, you are at the same time doing an Erasmus. And I use this to say how much of a human experience doing an Erasmus is. So I think that taking this opportunity of doing a double degree only enlarges your perspective on every level. So the academic level as well as the personal level. So it's more or less what I want to say about this.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's very, very nice. And we are very happy that you are happy.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that now we plan to have one old student wanted to tell us, who is now an advanced researcher with us. Nicoletta, are you here?
Yes, here I am. Can you hear me?
Maybe we can stop the presentation.
Yes, since Nicoletta is going to go through the possible job opportunities.
Okay, great. Sorry.
More.
I didn't know.
She knows
well, me neither, but I can.
I guess maybe she knows more than me, but in any case, Professor Belletti has already presented some of the applications that we may have after the degree. So research in private or academic institutions, support in areas of language impairment, support to speech therapists, application in second language teaching, but also first language teaching, and computational or engineering applications. And here in the last slide, you can find our contacts. We are the representative and tutor students. You can find us in the official webpage of the course, but also on Instagram and Facebook by querying tutor Dispoc UNIC. Thank you very much.
That's very important, Francesco. Leave it for 2 more seconds. So, because I saw that there are, contrary to what I just said, I saw that there are, in fact, some students from outside. So this is an important information to have. And then, okay, thank you. And maybe Nicoletta, I don't know if you have presentations or you just want to.
No, I just want to tell my experience orally, let's say. So first of all, hi everyone. I'm currently a postdoc here at the University of Siena, actually. I landed here 2 months ago after a postdoc at the Basque Center on Cognition, Brain and Language in Spain. And I checked the dates to today to see that actually exactly 10 years ago, I was thinking about applying for this master's program, well, an old version of this master's program. So it's nice today to say something about it. So basically what I can say is that my experience was positive. There is nothing more to say because, so when I arrived here, let's say that I decided I chose this master's program because I liked the combination of linguistics and philosophy, and then I ended up discovering psycholinguistics and falling in love with psycholinguistics, and so decided to start this my research activity on this topic. And I can actually tell a small story, like a very short story about my positive experience about this master's program, which is the PhD applications. So after finishing my master's, I decided to apply for a PhD scholarship at the University of Trento. And after, let's say, all the selection process, with a great surprise, I discovered that I was the first one in the selection list. And I was really surprised because it was a PhD in psychology, so I didn't expect to be the first one. And afterwards, my supervisor told me quite explicitly that reading that a student has studied linguistics at the University of Siena or reading the recommendation letters of renowned linguists as the one that work here, like, is a quality guarantee, let's say. So at that stage, when I was too young, let's say, to show my publication record, let's say that, like, showing this master's degree was very, very useful and lucky for me. So, and also afterwards, I didn't have any problem, at least I haven't had any problem so far to find a job and to continue my research activity in Italy, in Spain. I have also been in the United States for a while and then back here. So my experience was definitely positive, and that's it. So it's a good program, I can say.
Thank you very much, Nicoletta. We are very happy that you are back in some form. Okay, good.
Thanks.
So maybe we are even running on time. I think that now we are ready for each of the teacher, professor, colleagues to introduce themselves. Of course, to our students, we are all known. But as I said, I think that there are also external participants, so maybe a few words, and I don't know. We can start from. I see a grid, so shall we start alphabetically? Valentina. So I assume that you know who I am. So by now, Valentina Bianchi.
Yeah. Okay. Valentina Bianchi, I am a linguist and I teach the module in compositional semantics in the first year for both curricula, and then issues in intentional semantics for the second year, which is, let's say, available again for both curricula.
Thank you so much. Bocci. I'm making the alphabet, connecting letters with faces. So, Giuliano.
Can you hear me? Is it working?
Yes.
My name is Giuliano Bocci, and I teach phonetics and phonology for the first year, and experimental methods in linguistics, which is meant to be some sort of introduction to experimental methods with a practical approach to experimental research.
Thank you. Cristiano Casey, Professor Casey.
Hi, everybody. You're going to teach computational linguistics for the second year. It's going to be a broad overview of the problem of processing natural language from the computer perspective, as being tightly related to the psycholinguistic approach and to the formal linguistics as well. I hope you will enjoy it. Sorry, but I have to disconnect. Sorry.
We understand. Thank you so much. Stefano Guidi.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Stefano Guidi. I have a PhD in cognitive science that I was granted at the University of Siena. So I will be teaching methodology of research in cognitive and social psychology, which is quite a broad topic. So I will try to cover topics such as experimental design, some forms of data collections methods, and partly cover some of the appropriate statistical methods. I look forward to start teaching and to meeting the new prospective students.
Thank you so much. I introduced Claudia Manetti, who is not, who doesn't teach a specific course, but she has been over the years of great support, especially for different courses which adopt an experimental method or an experimental attitude, or who talk about experiments, and so she is our one of our persons. Now we can move to Professor Moscati.
Hi everybody, I hope you can hear me. I'm Vincenzo Moscati, and I'll be the teacher of language acquisition, which is in the first year, and psycholinguistics, which is in the second year. So basically those two courses will deal with language processing in adults and children, so they are two faces of the same coin. And I also try to offer students some tutorial on how to build their own experiments if they are interested in empirical work for their dissertation. So we got new equipment since a couple of years. We get an eye tracking lab, and students will be welcome to try and learn to use those equipments.
Thank you so much. Patrizia Pedrini. Patrizia?
Yes, here I am. Hi everybody. Thank you for being present. I will be the teacher of the course Philosophy of Psychology in the first year. It is a course, as the title says, which consists of the philosophical study of psychology as a science. So what we are going to do mainly is precisely to offer students the theoretical assessment of the various approaches to the study of the mind which are currently present on the philosophical market. Of course, insofar as psychology can be and should be considered as a science, philosophy of psychology shares issues directly coming from philosophy of science, although it also embeds traditional questions coming from philosophy of mind, and we will go into even more specific issues such as cognition, consciousness, access to the mind as such, for example, introspections, inner speech and or inner dialogue, which ultimately boil down to questions about verbalization of inner experience. So you will be welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrizia. Salvatore Pistoia Reda.
Yes, here I am. So, hi everyone, my name is Salvatore Pistoia Reda.
We don't see you, we hear you though.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry.
Can you hear me? Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm Salvatore Pistoia Reda. I teach 2 courses within this MA program. I teach Theory of Main Languages, actually. One part of a 2-part course. The other one being Logic, that is taught by Professor Samauer, and Logic of Natural Languages. The first course is offered as part of the common curriculum in the first year. The second course is offered as part of the philosophy curriculum in the second year, but of course it's open to students from the other curriculum. What we do in my courses is basically philosophy of language. I may say that in the first year course we discuss topics in philosophy of language. In the second year course we discuss advanced topic in philosophy of language, and specifically and this is relevant as it is related to what the student Diego said previously. We mainly focus on our intuitions concerning relevant philosophical notions such as truth, reference, possibility, necessity, and try to understand what is the role of these notions and these intuitions in building a theory of meaning for natural languages. So yeah, that is basically it.
Thank you very much. Luigi Rizzi.
Yes, hello. I'm Luigi Rizzi. I'm a linguist. The course that I teach in the framework of the degree is called Theory of Grammar. It's a second-year course, so you'll see me only in the second part of your experience. The course is about certain ideas and models that bear on syntax, essentially. And we'll cover 2 things mainly. One is minimalism, the minimalist approach, which focuses on the mechanisms for syntax. And the other one is a kind of a Sienese specialty, not just Sienese, Italian, let's say, specialty, which is cartography, the cartography of syntactic structure. And minimalism and cartography complement each other nicely because minimalism deals with the simplicity of the mechanisms, of the syntactic mechanisms, and cartography deals with the complexity of syntactic representation. So the 2 things really complete and complement each other. And I think that's enough for this initial characterization. Thank you.
Absolutely. Luca Samauro.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm Luca, I'm a logician, and in Siena I teach 2 courses. The first one being the other half of the 2-part course that already Salvatore introduced. So this part is in logic, it is for everybody, and it mainly covers classical logic, some main topic of classical logic with a special emphasis on the relation between the syntax and the semantics of formal languages. trying to understand how these two main concepts relate with each other and in fact mirror each other in the context of classical logic. The second course here, it is the second year course. It is called Logic and Cognition. It is for the philosophy curriculum, but of course, I mean, it's open to everybody. And in this course, I will cover some logical tools that are able to support a computational understanding of the mind. To do that, I will discuss several models of computation, such as the famous Turing machines, register machines, and so forth. And I will show to students how all of them, although they are very much different with respect to their definition, turn out to be extension equivalent. And what is the philosophical consequence of that? And I think that's enough for that.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe Warnier, Professor Warnier.
Hi, everybody. I'm Giuseppe Warnier. I teach philosophy of mind, which is common for both curricula in the first year. I would like to start from this. All discussions in the cognitive sciences and in the foundations of linguistics and other cognitive sciences have a basis in the tradition of analytical philosophy of mind. So I try to give an overview of what the debates, the historical and contemporary debates in the philosophy of mind are, starting from Cartesian dualism up to eliminative materialism, functionalism, and so on. That's the plan of the course, which is meant to give a basis about what can be said on the mind-body problem in the mind and the mind-body interaction. I try to give a little space at the end of the course for topics in the philosophy of science, considering Chomsky's position and considering only the status in the philosophy of science, of linguistics, and the cognitive sciences themselves. That's the plan. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Zanca?
Yes, I'm Cesare Zanca. I will teach next year in a new course, which is called Corpora Language and Translation. It's a very broad name for a course that will deal with translation as a way to enhance the possibility of studying linguistics and discourse. We will also deal with academic English, both in analyzing academic texts and producing academic texts. So the students will be asked to produce an academic text in English. The approach is based more on social linguistics than cognitive psychology, and we will use Corpora. It's a corpus-based course, and Corpora will be used also for discourse studies. And this is something that you will probably do also in the first year with Alison Duguid course, which is also based on Corpora. The final aim is to apply an inductive approach to the study of language, which is produced on by academic texts, but also in political and other kinds of texts.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you, Cesare. So I just wanted to, you mentioned, but I just wanted to mention the fact that Professor Duguid is not here, but she is also teaching a first-year course in the common part of the first-year program, which is called Corpus Approaches to Discourse Analysis. And as I mentioned in the general picture of the MA, we use different sources of evidence from pure description to experimental work through corpus studies to base our empirical and theoretical and possibly applied hypothesis. So maybe if you allow me, I just say 2 words on the classes that I teach. So I teach a class with Professor Bianchi in the first year, which is the Syntactic Structures module of the Syntactic Structures and Compositional Semantics course. And essentially the idea is to give you a clear sense of the hierarchical organization of syntax. I think that that's my aim. And then you will find all over the places. And then the other teaching activity that I have in the course has to do with multilingualism and morphosyntax, or syntax more in the morphosyntactic perspective. And that's all for now. I think that we wanted to be brief, and we have all been brief. I won't be long. So so I think that we did a good job. I shouldn't say that, but I say it anyway, because it's nice to see that we were all here, and for me the feedback, of course, what I said I knew, but what the students said and what you colleagues said in such a very concentrated way looked extremely interesting. And okay, I won't say that if I could I would enroll in the program, but maybe I say that anyway. Okay, so I think we are perfect, because we were 10 minutes late and we are 6 minutes after 12:30. So we are supposed to leave the room at 12:30. So I think that we are ready. If you want to add something, please, or just say goodbye to each other. And to the potential new students, please contact us, contact the tutors, contact us, each of us, but of course me, and maybe I can then direct you to some of the other colleagues to have further information if you want to express some doubts. Or so I don't think that there is a way to have people ask questions, or maybe there is. Where is Giuliano? I'm not sure. So
people can ask questions if they want, either in the chat or by talking out loud.
So maybe we can leave like 5 minutes so that we cover all our time. If there are already some questions that you students have, I see there are 3. Are there questions now by some of the potential students who were surprised by something we said, or who did not find something we should have said that they expected us to say, so on? Okay, so if there are no questions, I'm not surprised that there are no, to be quite frank, that there are no questions. It's probably not that easy to just come up with a question. It's maybe some time to process what you heard, and to look more about the description of the course and so on. So I repeat what I just said. Don't hesitate to write to us, to me or to any of the colleagues that you met. So now we are not just names, but faces and voices and topics. So do that. We tend to answer our emails. Okay? So that was very nice meeting all of you. I think we can declare our meeting closed.
Thank you.
Bye
Goodbye.
bye,
everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.